Welcome to the original International Teacher Podcast with hosts in 4 different time zones, Greg, Darian, Kent, JP, and Hannah, bringing you episodes from around the world about the best kept secret in education. You got it, international teaching. Welcome to the show. This is Greg, the single guy reporting with International Teacher Podcast. Welcome to another episode. I have Hannah with me today, just the two of us. How you doing, Hannah?
I'm pretty good, Greg. How are you?
I missed the last one, so I'm not too good. You and JP were together. JP is in Mexico right now. I don't think she's feeling well, though. I'm not sure if you heard from her. Yeah, she was up all night or something. She can't make it, some kind of excuse. Darian can't be with us. He's actually in Amsterdam this weekend. Told me that, away from his family, having fun. And our buddy Kent is in Seattle, and he's teaching he's subbing for 8 days a week or something like that. So it's crazy. So that's enough with our co-hosts. So, Hannah, we have a special guest that neither of us know, and this is Colin. You are coming to us from Tunisia. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, I'm coming from Tunisia. I'm working at the American Cooperative School of Tunis here. I've been here about 4 years now.
You've been there 4 years. Wow, yeah. I can't wait to get into this. Yeah. Where are you originally from, Carl?
So, born, raised Toronto, Southern Ontario. Spent most of my life there. Around late 20s, early 30s, started getting into teaching, found out about international teaching, left Canada pretty quickly. I spent 4 years in Medellin, Colombia, before coming here to Tunisia. And so I was sort of just saying with JP before this, I'm off to Leipzig, Germany in August for my next.
All right. So let's dial into this. You're Kanaki, and you've already been to Colombia. You're in Tunisia right now, and you're on your way to Germany. Is that in a nutshell what's going on?
Wow. That's it. So third international gig, and I'm onto my 4th continent to live on.
Oh, that's exciting, because both Hannah and I have, and her husband Jake, not together, mind you, but we've been in different countries quite a bit. Wow, that's fantastic. Where do we start? How about the elevator pitch? How did you get into education, into international education? Let's start there.
Out of high school, like every one of our senior students knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was dead set on being a commercial pilot. Went into school for that. Graduated, got my license, started working in the industry, and realized really quickly that I love flying, but I hate working for airlines. So had to sort of take a bit of a pivot there. And my sort of piece that came out of all of that is I had a really good working relationship with a lot of my instructors. And one of them pointed out, you're pretty good at this thing, so maybe you should go into teaching. And there we go. I ended up teaching, had to go back to university to do my undergrad and my teaching certification. And then after that, like most people my age, major events like graduation coincide with the economic downturn and people no longer hiring or retiring. So I struggled in Ontario to get a full-time job for a couple of years and jumped between contract to contract, mostly in the independent school system. And that's where I started to hear a bit more about international teaching. My last school in Canada was a boarding school for international students. And when kind of realized I wasn't going to get anything full-time for a while, one of my bosses and friends said, "Hey, have you heard about search associates?"
Yeah, we know that word. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then the rest is history from that point on.
Well, after you filled out all the paperwork, right? So listeners, of course, if you've heard from us, Search Associates is one of the big recruiting companies that you pay into, and they help you find jobs as sort of like a regional headhunter. They might have you with a certain person that has a couple thousand candidates, but they work with you to get you through to schools and connect you like a matchmaker. Am I right about that, Colin?
Yeah, and I'd say for a first timer looking to go abroad, they're pretty good at handling all the details, and you usually feel pretty confident in what they're sharing with you. You don't have to second guess everything you're being told.
Yeah. And I believe out of all the recruiting agencies for international teachers, they have one of the biggest databases, I would say, on like international schools everywhere. Am I correct to say that?
Yeah, and so we can talk a lot about that with the recruiting season this year, and I think that was a big thing that JP and I were going to talk about. Was I used 5 different recruiting platforms this year for the job hunt, and by far the database on Search was the best, hands down.
It's okay, give us the 5, man. Don't just gloss over it. This is great. Great information.
Okay, so this year I used Search Associates, the Test Schroll, which is a combination this year because Schroll is now working there, GRC, ISS, and LinkedIn as sort of my 5th platform.
Oh, I didn't think about LinkedIn as a platform, and I don't know about this monster. What'd you call it? The monster?
GRC or ISS?
No, the second one that you had.
So Test Schroll. TES is
okay, Monster Troll.
Troll is the database, and then TES is a UK-based one, and they partnered up.
TES.
I think GRC used to be with Schroll, and now Schroll is now working with a different group. So it's
Schroll. I thought you said troll. I'm like with a T, TROLL. No, we know Schroll pretty well.
I figured, yeah.
Okay.
So
sorry, my brain is somewhere else, but that's fine. No. That's 4 of the big ones. And wow, what happened? What'd you like the best? Tell us.
I mean, because I already had a platform, had the account with Search Associates, that was the easiest. That was just a short update and say, hey, here's my fee. I do love that Search has changed from their 3-year payment model down to you're only paying 1 year, so it's much cheaper than it used to be. So it became a little more accessible that way. I don't know. I think they all had their strengths, and they all had some overlap. They all had some different areas of where they were looking. I think ISS is going to grow into something powerful, but it's not there yet. I didn't see any jobs posted there that I was interested in that wasn't posted in one of the other bigger ones.
And that's fair enough. I mean, the idea is that, and for listeners just starting out this kind of search, is that you pay in or you send up your resume and set up everything through these different platforms. And you already did through Search, so your search carried through. You just had to update some of the things for you. I did the same thing with ISS and UNI, International School Services. Did I get that right? Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. Okay, so ISS and UNI at the same time, they both have job fairs. And I told both of them I was going to go to the job fairs. They were close, back to back. And I just paid into their databases. And as soon as you pay, you get the database. And that changes every year. Like some you have a database without paying into it. Mm-hmm. Some you get a grand database. Some schools don't show up that year. ISS was really lean this year. They had maybe, I don't know, I heard only about 150 schools. And usually they're 600 schools or something. But each of those platforms gives you an opportunity to find out information about each of the schools that are attending that platform. Mm-hmm. And GRC is an exciting one. We could get into that a little bit too. Hannah, you did that. I don't know if you knew about GRC.
Yeah,
but
we did GRC last year. In fact, we attended their Bangkok fair last year.
And that's Global Recruiting
Collaborative.
Yeah. Collaborative, yes. And that's the new big dog on the screen, if you ask me.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was actually supposed to go to their first European fair this year. They had
one in Amsterdam?
In Amsterdam. But I signed a contract in the London fair for Search Associates the weekend before.
So therefore, if you have a contract before you sign up for a job fair, you don't even have to go to the job fair, right? Yeah. And that's the way it works. Yeah, I think that's a great strategy. And we don't hear a lot of, at least I have not met a lot of people that use the multiple strategy of signing up with different platforms. They might be on Thai Online. They might be on Joy Jobs if it's still out there. They might be a couple online, but as far as search fairs, as far as job fairs and the platform connected to those job fairs, usually they only pick one. But I love that. Go ahead.
Last year when we were recruiting, we did that too. We did a search fair and a GRC fair.
And it worked out.
Yeah. We ended up getting hired. We got a job offer right at the search fair right away. So it ended up
So
working
here's
out.
a couple more questions. Yeah, I mean, I could talk to you for hours. We could still talk for hours, but I do have a few missing pieces here, Colin, because we just met you and our listeners too. So are you a single? Are you a teaching couple? Are you with dependents? What does your
So
like?
I'm married. My wife is a non-teacher, so trailing spouse. But we're pretty fortunate that she's been a student the last 4 years online, so that hasn't been an issue in that part. And she is a translator by trade right now, so
Ooh.
pretty workplace independent. And then, as I said, going to Germany, German is one of the languages that she's been working in and developing. So we're moving into an area where she'll have some ability to find some work as well. No kids, but 3 dogs, all of them rescues that I picked up abroad. They're trying to get them outside and keep them a little bit quieter, but 3 fairly big dogs, so they make a lot of noise.
Well, we're dog friendly here on the ITP. We're cat friendly, as you know. I love dogs. I've never had one overseas, and we've had lots of episodes about having pets overseas. 3 dogs. Wow, dude. How many languages does your wife translate?
My wife, she is a Spanish native speaker. I met her in Colombia when I was working down there. English, French are fluent working languages, and then German is in development for her.
Ausgezeichnet. That means awesome.
I know it enough that my courses started last week. I'm trying to get as much A1 level German done as I can before I show up and embarrass myself.
So, Colin, are you one of those people? Are you your wife is obviously a polyglot, but are you one of those teachers that's like, okay, I'm going to this country. I'm going to start learning before we even leave our current country. Like I started learning like Arabic when I was in a Spanish speaking country and it felt weird. Are you that kind of person too?
I try to be. I don't know if I actually succeed as much as I'd like.
I didn't say succeed. I just said try.
Yeah.
I failed horribly with Arabic.
Yeah, Spanish was a lot easier for me to learn once I was in Colombia, and Medellin, Colombia is one of the, I think it keeps getting ranked as one of the top 3 places in the world to go and learn Spanish just for the clarity of speech. So I was really lucky there.
Oh, I don't care about the language. Yeah. I just want to go for the women. I'm sorry, Hannah. I have to say it out loud. I am the single guy. I love Latina women, and I love South America. I was in Venezuela. Shout out to my friends in Venezuela. My dad's dating a Colombian right now, which is very interesting. He just got back from Colombia at Christmas time. So hats off to Colombia. You were there 4 years, you said.
Yeah, I was 4 years in Medellin and met my wife at the beginning of my second year and right before COVID hit in us. And we always joke around that they were going to do a lockdown for just the long weekend. And so I invited her over to stay in my place because she had a smaller apartment a couple blocks away from where I was staying. And I had a bit of a nicer space. And so she came to stay, and then 300 plus days of lockdown later, she was still there. And we just decided to, somewhere along the way of closing down her apartment, moving all the stuff in, and it went from there. And before we actually got out of COVID, we had gotten married.
Wow.
You got married during COVID? Like during lockdown?
Oh, it was fantastic. We were limited to 25 people at our venue, and that was the max people we were allowed to have. And I was able to have the small wedding of my dreams without it pissing off the entire Colombian family that, no, we can't have everybody there.
Wow. This is like astronomically, what a crazy thing. You got married during lockdown, in COVID lockdown. That's great.
There was, by that point, the lockdown had come, we were restricted to 20 people, 25 people as guests at the venue, plus a few employees. And we got around that by using, my wife's family has a cafe. So half the employees were family who were attending the wedding. So it worked out really well for us that way.
I don't know, Hannah. I'm sitting here in wonder. I mean, I thought my family was pretty cool because during COVID, we got together and played Monopoly or some kind of game, bingo game on video with all of us. You got married, dude.
Life goes on, right? You do what you can.
I mean,
okay, so go ahead. Yep.
During COVID, I had a baby, so I understand that things have
Hannah wins
changed.
on that one.
I got no dog in this fight, man. All I was doing was making empanadas and listening to reggaeton and taking videos from my Venezuelan buddies. But wow, that's both of you. Hats off to both of you. Wow.
Speaking of which,
okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Speaking of which, my COVID baby just turned 6. Can you believe it's been 6 years?
Happy birthday. Uh-oh, is he either frozen or he's just gobsmacked?
I think he's just
gobsmacked. I struggle on that one.
Wait for a second. There he is.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with some more questions. Colin, what do you teach? You're obviously not teaching kids how to fly airplanes.
No, so I'm a secondary science teacher. Currently teaching diploma program physics and chemistry. Those are my main wheelhouse. I've taught some math in the past as well. But I pretty much, like, as you could probably suspect, as soon as you see physics on my resume and I send it in, I'm shoehorned into a physics position just because it's a shortage spot.
You can write your own ticket. No wonder why you have a trailing spouse and 3 dogs and you don't have a problem. It's like, hi, I'm Colin. They're like, you're hired.
I got to say different. Going back to what I was talking about, the job hunt this year, it was hard even for the shortage positions. I mean, I started, my first application was sent out the end of August 2025. Direct application to a school. And then by the time I hit the London job fair, which was mid-January, I'd applied to 48 schools over the course of that time, had maybe a half dozen interviews, 2 really weak job offers, and a whole lot of silence.
And when I
went to the job fair, I got a few more opportunities there, and found out from one of the the school recruiters that was there talking to, there were only 2 people with physics qualifications at the entire job fair, and I was one of them. So until I got to the fair,
how many schools were looking at the fair?
Pure physics, there was maybe 5 or 6 positions that were, and I mean, this is my personal preference. I avoid the for-profit schools, so I wasn't really looking at those. So the not-for-profit, there were maybe 5 positions. I was a little bit harder on it because I was looking specifically to be in a region of Europe. Again, getting my wife into an area where she can start working with her languages and career. But I applied to schools all over the world, and like what would probably be told as tier 2 and tier 1 schools, not looking at only the best options. And I was barely even getting acknowledgement of my application being sent in, let alone like offers of interviews to start talking.
Well, I would figure it had to do with, like, if you started in August, I mean, that is slow. They start early and they're getting earlier every year, but they get warmed up right around, into November and December. And of course, then they're leading into the fairs. I would say my other point would be, and you guys can both comment on this, but I think it has to do with timing also, because it goes in cycles, that schools have these puzzles they're putting together, and they always talk about finding the right fit. So it's not just the teacher, it's the personality, it's how they fit into this big puzzle of not just the position. But your position is extremely important because there's very few of you out there. I'm no physics teacher. I'm an elementary teacher. I mean, come on. I'm like a dime a dozen. There's like hundreds of us at every job fair.
You and me both.
Right?
Yeah, and this is just, I think the big part that came out of this is that, like, everybody always, oh, you're a physics teacher, you have no problem finding jobs. And this year was even tough for the shortage positions. In fact, I think chemistry had a larger need this year and was more of a shortage position than physics was traditionally.
So it was like that's a cycle thing. If I was to act as the admin looking at this, I haven't seen the big picture, but my opinion would be that's a cycle issue, not a timing cycle, where there's some schools are hanging on to their positions, and it just happened that this year you had a smaller pool to choose from, as well as being picky about Europe, as well as being a little bit picky about nonprofit, because we have to talk about that too, right? As you're looking at jobs, you have to say, what are things important to me? And that's definitely very personal. And just to say that the pool is smaller, even if you opened up all of the schools, it sounds like it was a little bit smaller pool this year for the chemistry or for physics.
Yeah. And I went with JP's philosophy and actually had done some coaching work with her before starting this job hunt of apply to everything. I don't know what I'm going to actually find. So even though I was saying not for profit was my choice, I was applying to for-profit schools as well. I had my interview with the basis system and a very interesting organization, a very interesting package, but limits on how many dogs I could import into the country with me. So
that's Baz's the China group, right?
That was the China group, yes.
I looked at them too, and I'm writing down notes mentally, at least. I'm not writing them down right now. This is something else. No, I'm writing down notes in my mind because next year I'm recruiting for another school. I'll be leaving my school this year to live at home for a year. And during the next year, when I live with my dad, I'm doing a dad retirement. I don't know how much I've even mentioned this on the show, but yes, I'm staying at home with my dad for a whole year. I'm going to go to a couple different job fairs, I think, which is going to be exciting. I have a little different style than you do. And what I do is I don't shotgun affect it. What I do is I don't apply everywhere that interests me. What I do is I sort of write out the whole timing in the beginning, like November and October. I'll send out my resume or do a little search and destroy type thing with specific schools that interest me. But when it comes to the job fair, that's when I open myself. I don't say no. I don't want to say no to this, no to that. For the most part, I agree with you. For me, it's not going to be profit schools. I don't think I can do that again, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, I still interview a lot, and I get to see what the fit is like. And the people are important. I don't know about you two, but the people that interview me are so important in the beginning. I'm a very first impression person, right? Hannah, you too?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's with this year, there were a couple jobs that I didn't go further with the interview just because of that feel afterwards. Because, I mean, you have to know who you're working with, and if you're not feeling comfortable off the beginning, we're all experienced educators. We kind of understand what that gut reaction is being fed off of.
You're not just selling yourself, but you're also listening to them sell them to you. It's like it's a dance. We're dancing. We're doing a dating game. I like to say it's a dating game for 2-year contract. It's a 2-year date that you're signing up for with multiple, possibilities, right? The 2-year dating game in 35 minutes.
I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people are really good with, like you said, recruiting a net of CVs and a round of, maybe interviews online. And I really prefer the job fairs because when you're sitting behind the screen, the person can kind of be a different person than who they are in real life. And so at the job fairs, you get to see who they are. And I kind of sit back at job fairs and observe, okay, how is this person acting towards other people? How, what's their demeanor like? What kind of people are attracted to them, or trying to get a job from them. I kind of just people watch in that way. I don't know if you guys are like that.
Yeah. That was a big thing about so the London Fair this year was my first job fair I've ever been to. So I've been teaching internationally almost 8 years now before I got to the first in-person fair. And it was exactly that. You're standing in that line for that dating phase. Right? Everybody's signing up for the interviews and you're watching everyone hand in the resumes and going through that and watching how each person was interacted said a lot about what the school's priorities were and how they treated their people. It also made me even there were schools that didn't have jobs for me posted, but after seeing how they were talking to the people coming up and applying, I went over and I said, hey, you don't have anything for me right now, but I do want to talk to you because this looks great. Here's my resume just in case. And I made some great contacts that way with principals at schools that I wanted to be at. And Greg, like you, I do pick those like top schools that I'm aiming for. I went over and got to talk to them and said, hey, I really like what I'm seeing here. This isn't going to work out for us this year because you don't have anything yet. But I just had to come by and say, hi, this is who I am. And I really do like what you do as a school. And I do like how you're treating everyone here. And this is where that LinkedIn piece comes in, because exactly. I went through and I connected with all of those people who had LinkedIn afterwards, so that I now can build those for the future whenever I'm looking for the next job.
I did a similar thing last year with LinkedIn and Instagram. So before we went to the Dubai Search Associates Fair, end of November last year in 2024. And I looked up heads of schools. I was researching. I found them on LinkedIn. I found them if they had Instagram. I followed them, and I was like, for a month or two out. So then I was like following what they were posting and what they were talking about. I was going back in their history, seeing what they were talking about. And I fangirled with a couple of them because I was like, I follow you on Instagram. I know you're not hiring right now for my position, but I just wanted to say hi because I love what you posted about this.
I had one of those moments as well, and it was somebody who had led a workshop that I had been a part of online. And so I was using those as networking connections as well. And it's just like, hey, I know you don't have anything for me right now, but that workshop you ran, and it was actually a GRC's recruiting boot camp workshop that they were doing. And his discussion was about that match to be made and being able to say sort of your why as teaching. And he recommended the Simon Sinek, Find Your Why, Start with Why books. And the way he presented it resonated with me. So I dove into it, did that process of finding my why. And so I was able to go up to him and be like, I don't know if you remember, but when you were doing this, I got really interested in this. I took that message home. I actually have my why. It's right here on the top of my resume now. And that's there because of you. Thank you so much. It really helped me narrow down what I wanted to say in my interviews. And that was great. He actually checked in with me later on, be like, tell me where you end up. I want to know what your successes are.
And that is the magic of not just LinkedIn, but I think of the entire small community that we have that's worldwide, right? As international teachers, the great directors are always looking to build up their team, and they never forget those gems that come out of the woodwork. And we just have that moment. I remember just walking up, it was, I don't know what job fair it was, but I remember just walking around after the sign up, and I had pretty much, filled my bill. I didn't have any dances left. And I'm looking around, and there's this guy, and I just watched him talk to like 15 people in a row. And and that second day that I went through there, he's just sitting there with no one. I walked up to him and I just started talking to him. And he's like, so what are you looking for? He goes, I filled all my positions. I said, nah, I don't need a job. I've already signed on, and I just thought I'd come over and talk to you because you sound like a great guy. And tell me about your school. And this guy was like, what? Really? And I treat those job fairs as it's this amazing week or weekend or 4 days that you can get a little glimpse of all the different schools around the world, not just the actual people hiring, but you can talk to them about their real stories. I wish I could get each one of them on the ITP. And I mean, next time I go to a job fair, I'm going to be handing out cards like, come on, be a guest. You sound so awesome. You're a great guy, right? You were that guy that led the PD workshop for Colin that time, aren't you? Come on to our show. All right, let's take a moment for a little commercial about how to get in touch with us. You can, of course, find all four of us at the itpexpat.com. That's www.itpexpat.com.
Or you could also find us at email at internationalteacherpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Or if you're into Facebook, we have a new Facebook group at www.facebook.com/groups/ITP-expat, where you can find all kinds of inside information about ITP Expat.
You can also find us on Instagram at International Teacher Podcast. This is our handle.
All right. And thank you, listeners. We have over 100 countries represented by our listeners. And though we're not monetized, we are here for you. And we would like to thank all of you for listening. So let's get back to the show.
So it's actually funny because I was hired for my current school at the Search Associates, that Dubai fair that I just said. And this year at my new school, I'm working with onboarding, and then I was helping a little bit with some recruiting because I'm really good at networking as well. So my superintendent ended up taking me and the assistant principal to the Dubai job fair, Search Associates job fair again, and getting to see recruiting from a different point of view, like, was interesting. But then at the same time, I got to network, and I was like, telling my boss, okay, this is this person, and this is this person, and this, and I know this person, let me introduce you. And, just building that network of teachers, and, not just teachers, but like admin it's such a small world, right? Because everybody knows everybody.
So Colin, question for you.
Yeah.
Colin, question. Do they still, the one that you went to was in London, and I was wondering, do they do the hotel where they get a whole big hotel and they use the rooms for interviewing as well as some of the conference centers down underneath? Or how does it work this year? How did it work?
Yeah, so it was definitely that. It was very few schools were still in the hotel rooms now. There was a big push to avoid hotel rooms. And the big rule right up front was that anything happening in a hotel room, the door was wide open. There was a really firm, hard and fast rule on that. So they are trying to move away from that. There's just enough schools showed up. There wasn't enough room in like all 4 of the ballrooms that they had set up.
Wow. And I was wondering, personally, I was wondering when this was going to hit. Like, when were they going to finally say, you can't be in an enclosed space, where the guy or the woman just woke up and had them clean, while they're at breakfast, they clean it real quick and then it's open the whole time. I've been in so many closed rooms for interviews over the years, but we're talking 25 years and multiple job fairs. It doesn't bother me, but I could see the push going towards definitely like that too. And I always told people, if they did end up in a hotel room for their short interview, even the first interview, just ask them to leave the door open if they don't.
Yeah.
And they usually, even back 20 years ago, they would accept that and say, of course. And they would leave it ajar, leave it open.
Yeah.
So that was just a good question I had, because I'm always trying to update the listeners and myself on what job fairs are like. What are they changing? How are they changing and morphing? And this year, that was the Search Associates in London, huh?
Yes.
Okay. And how many days?
A few other things that I noticed. Sorry?
Go ahead.
It was Friday morning registration, and then things sort of wrapped up about 2:00 on Sunday. So I got in Thursday evening, got settled myself, and then it was 2.5 full days. Big part of that Friday was there was an orientation for all teachers. So if you've never been to a fair, they go through all the pieces that you need. So anybody who's listening who's curious about going, they do give you the heads up of what to expect when you're there. And then it was the presentations from the school all day Friday. And then at the end of the day was the sign-up sessions. And one thing that I noticed a lot of schools were trying to do was they were trying to actually game the system and start having some interviews scheduled beforehand. So I had a number of schools who, for various reasons, packages maybe not competitive, or the locations were a bit of a challenge, they were reaching out and inviting me to interviews before the sign-up fair part of happened. And that was fine. There were a number of schools that I got kind of like I got an invitation in their internal calendar system of like, oh, you have an interview at this time. And the school never even reached out to me with a, hi, how are you? Are you interested in meeting with us?
Wow.
And I had to, I turned around and I responded back and be like, this is a relationship piece. And the fact that you're just scheduling me in right away has already turned me off. So thank you, but no thanks. There's a level of presumption that turned me away from the school right there. And I knew in my mind that if I walked away from that fair without a job, I was still going to find something. So I wasn't in a desperation mode, and it gave me a little bit more clarity knowing like I'm here to make connections. A lot of schools sound like they are trying to do interviews, and then there's a second round of interviews. There's all the child safeguarding pieces that happen. I would say more than half of the jobs that were posted there were not signed until probably the week afterwards.
Wow.
And I think that's starting to become a bit of a trend as well, that there was not a lot of contracts handed out over that weekend, just because, again, we're updating to the new reality of you have to check in with all of those references. And if they're not available that weekend to confirm that, yeah, this person is safe around kids, they're not going to start offering jobs.
Well, I always tell people I wrote a couple books on this too, right? At least one book, Finding the Right Fit. That is it's a monster of a book. People have not read it, not enough people, because when you go to these in-person job fairs, you have to make sure that your like references already know before you leave that you're on a weekend and you are recruiting and you need a cell phone for where they're at, because and at least give them a window, right? Say, hey, I know you're in Islamabad, so I'm going to give you how about from 9 to 3? Is that possible? And then you figure out a window for those the references to be checked on you. And I tell you, a lot of schools do that leading up to it. You're talking, Colin, about some schools actually trying to not hire you, but start the process the minute you arrive. So you're like, oh, I got here Thursday night in preparation for Friday, but Thursday night they're like, hey, can we take you out for dinner? We'd just like to talk with you. We'd like to invite you. Those are the headhunting kind of schools. And that's happened a lot. They find the top pick that they want for that position, as well as the rest of their puzzle. But they might invite them out for dinner the night before. That's within the rules of the job fair. And it's just part of the way so it's interesting how these directors do all this stuff. Hannah, you look like you want to say something to that.
Well, when we went to the Search Associates Fair and got hired here, that's how it happened for us. Was our superintendent was like, let's meet the night before the fair. And then he offered us the job on the spot because we had already been talking to him. So we had that same experience happen.
Did they put it on social media right away? Then the job fair likes to talk about their successes, right? I had this embarrassing moment where when I got hired for my current school, it was in Atlanta 100 years ago. And I signed Friday night, and Saturday morning was when the teachers started recruiting, like the Moo Moo Festival, where you go do the sign up and you stand like cows and sheep. And before you do the sign up, so as I'm going down the escalator the next morning, I had a former head of school go, hey, Greg, congratulations. I'm like, what? He goes, it's all over social media. You were the first one to get hired at this job fair. And I'm thinking, oh my, what? Social media? It's like, what is going on? But it's in their best interest as a job fair to celebrate how fast and how many signings that they get, because that's their promotion. They want to be matchmakers. But my God, Colin, I hope it happens to you, Colin, because it sounds like you're one of those guys that people are after at the job fair. You're at the job fair for a good reason too, and that's just to. Sorry, I get so emotional about this. Job fairs, I love it. But you're one of those guys that treats the job fair as an event. It's not just go and get a job. It's go there and meet as many people as possible and keep track of that for next job fair.
Yeah, I think the part that surprises me is the number of people who were there who weren't on the full time. Like for me, from when I got off the plane to when I got on the plane, knowing that no one was going from London to Tunisia on the direct flight that I was on, I was on, because you never know when you're going to run into somebody. If you're taking a connecting flight and you're going to a big place like London, you're probably on the same flight with somebody who is either applying for a job or recruiting for a job. And when you are sitting in the lounge, you're not hunched over your phone on your social media. You got to be on like you are in your classroom, because every little piece kind of did that. And I saw people who were doing things that would have been massive red flags within a school just around the corner from where the job fair was taking place. Like, I went to the nearest coffee shop outside of the job fair to take a break, get away from the noise, refuel, and go. And, there's somebody with the lanyard, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I looked at it and go, like, I would not hire a teacher like that.
Yeah, don't spout your mouth. Everybody's listening and everyone's on stage. I mean, even when you're in the elevator at the hotel, even when you're 2 blocks around. Okay, short story, just like you, I decided to get away from things. So I go at one job fair and I go to the Apple store, which is like down the subway, like a couple stations down the subway. And there's this, let's say she was an elderly woman, and I already had a job. So the next day or two, I stuck around to meet more people and to sort of pay it forward and help people through the process and meet people, etc. And I went to the Apple store. I'm sitting there waiting to buy a Mac on my way back, to take home as a celebration. And there's this elderly woman, and she's sort of looking at this phone, and she's confused, and everybody else is being helped but me and but her. And I just start up a conversation with her, seeing if she had any questions about the new model. That's just me. I mean, I'm like a techie guy and love Apple stuff. She goes, so she goes, do you work here? I said, no. I'm at some teacher convention, She goes, oh, you're at ISS. I said, yes. She laughs. My husband and I are here too. And I was like, oh, really? Are you looking for a job? She goes, no. My husband's on the board. You'll see him later on tonight at the get together. We'll buy you a drink. I started talking to her for a little bit. And then this Apple store person came over. I'm like, I need this. 5 minutes, I'm out the door. She's being helped by another person. I was like, what are the odds that in Atlanta, in that big store, I'd run into the one person that's also whatever involved, right? It's such a small world.
I think the odds are actually pretty high. It might not have been that person. It might have been the director of a school you were looking at. It might have been the person you were going up against for the job. Like, I just try to remember, like, every moment I was there, like, this is a performance. I'm on display. And I also want to be the person that I want other people to be, being friendly, being kind, starting up the conversation with the people around you, because anything that I could do to be who I am as authentically as possible and be as open to all of that just made it better. There's no, I don't know. It was weird.
The person you're standing next to in the elevator or standing and waiting for that cup of coffee, the person in front of you might be talking about something, and then they might include you in their conversation. And if you're strategic enough not to go, oh my God, you work there? I want to go there so badly. They sort of bring up the conversation and bring it up to what you're doing. That's my strategy. I'm not the one that brings up. I wait for that to naturally, and if it never comes up, it never comes up. But if they do, they might direct you. And I've been in that situation where I don't even remember who that person is, but they talked about it to 2 other people, and one of those people found me. How do you explain that?
I don't know. And there's just so many opportunities of like, oh, I've never been to that country. You've been there 3 years. Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I need to find a dating convention where I'm as good at, at reading people as I am at these international job fairs. I swear to God, man, it's so weird. I love these jobs for the strategy, and maybe I should start thinking about that with meeting somebody. No, whatever. I'm sorry. That's a whole different podcast, isn't it? Greg's Lonely Life.
Yeah.
But also with the be careful what you do and what you say. Be careful with what you do and what you say in any language, because I was at a job fair and this couple, they were speaking in Portuguese, and I grew up in Brazil. I speak Portuguese, and I was like, okay.
Oh no, really?
They didn't say anything too bad. They were just like, we're so stressed out. This is overwhelming. And I was just like,
classic
I don't
mistake.
know if that's the place to say it, because you never know who speaks what language, right?
And you're on your A game all the time. Like Colin is saying, you are always on stage, Colin, right? You step into that, even on the airplane, you're like, oh, somebody's around here, maybe, especially in that hotel.
It's protecting your investment. You're putting a lot of money down on the flights. You're putting a lot of money down on the hotels. You put a lot of like, your next 2 years can be made or broken based off of saying the right or the wrong thing.
Your career, not just your next 2 years, because somebody that you meet there, if you burn some bridges, they'll come along later on and it might burn you much later in life. Right? I mean, I'm taking it a step further, but you're right. You're there as an investment. That's what I love what you said. It's an investment in your career. It's an investment in your family to be going somewhere, and you need to find the right place as best you can. And even after you do everything right, it might not be that right fit. I definitely left a place after 1 year, but that's another story. You know, most of the time you find a great fit, and I love that idea.
And if you're open, again, like I was closed in a few things because I was trying to do stuff with my family, but you got to be open to a lot of things. Like I would never have ended up here in Tunisia because I had to look up where in North Africa it was. I knew it was on the coast. I knew it was on the Mediterranean, but between which country was it? I had to look that up when I was getting ready to interview. And this school and this location has provided me with so many amazing opportunities over 4 years. It's
the hidden gem effect.
Yeah. And I might have just ruined it. The hidden gem might not be so hidden now that I'm on the podcast talking about it, but
you're confirming and reconfirming several things. Number one, when you go to a job fair, it is a relationship that you're building, possibilities. Don't burn bridges. You're on stage. Be careful of, be cognizant of everybody. Like Hannah was saying, like you're watching people and you're saying, I would love to work with that person. I don't want to work with that person if I don't need to. They're rubbing me the wrong way, even if I'm just watching them, or they're speaking out loud like that in the middle of a coffee shop surrounded by so many other people. Oh my God, they're going to freak out if they go to some hardship school. And then you bring up the whole idea of the little gem schools around the world that nobody would ever think of, right? No one ever thought, I would never thought I'd go to Cambodia, right? Hannah never thought she'd go to Pakistan. It wasn't like blinking red neon lights, like go to Pakistan, right? And now you're going to Leipzig.
Yes, I'm heading to Leipzig, so East Germany. And
have you found that on the map?
I have. I knew where that was before I even went into the interview on that one. But that had more to do with my like personal travel history than anything else. But I didn't know about a lot of these schools in Europe when I was starting to look. And, you know, the more you talk to people, and again, it's that relationship piece. And when I met the team who was at the fair, I was sold. And so that was the great part. The best part from my side is that I went in there prepared the way I needed to be. I knew what I brought to the table. I knew what my strengths were, and I knew what my next areas of development and growth were going to be, because you always get that question, like, what's something you're not great at? Well, so I'm working on this piece, and here's the evidence to show that I'm doing it.
Another question I was thinking of, and this is you. I was wondering for people that are not single, they're married, but they have a non-teaching spouse. They go to a job fair. My question is your advice. Did your wife go along with you? And
No.
do you have advice about that?
Yeah, so we made the decision for my wife to stay home. She's Colombian, needs a visa to get into the UK, and just the added expense and headache of getting that figured out just made it too complicated. And then beyond that part, I knew I needed to be on 100% of the time I was out of the hotel room. And having her with me, there would have been so many other pressures of going out for a nice dinner or going out to do this thing, taking advantage of being in London. We made the decision that I was going to go on my own. But the week leading up to it, we looked through all the schools that were attending the fair. And we kind of did a initial yes, no on like, if these 5 or 6 schools offer me a job, I can say yes right away without calling her.
Otherwise, you're on the phone like, oh my God, Leipzig. Oh my God, Columbia, another Columbia school.
Yeah, that was it. It was she was my partner through the entire application process because, I mean, it's her life as well. Even though I'm the one who's going to be teaching and working in the school, where we end up and how the role works for me is a big part of that for her as well. Because if I end up at a boarding school again, she needs to know my evenings and weekends are going to get pulled out of the different parts. So
boarding school.
She had as much say into this as I did, I think.
That's great to hear. And it sounds like it worked well for you, because there are times when couples are thinking, should we both go? Like, do you regret not having her there? Like, if you could have gotten her there, would you have done it? Or
no, I think we were both happy with the decision and how it worked out. I think the part that I would say for anybody who's trying to make that decision is, if your partner is not going to be there with you, you need to have your clear what are they expecting to do in that location, because the schools want to know that if they're hiring somebody with a trailing spouse, that spouse is not going to be the reason they leave at the end of the contract, right? An unhappy spouse at home who is not being fulfilled with their career, who is not finding the next steps, that's a big concern. And so I was able to go, oh, no, my wife is a translator. She's doing some of her work online. These are the languages that she speaks. And as you can, I'm targeting schools and where those were languages of the nations we were going towards. It worked out really well, so that they saw that, okay, this is not a concern. This is a check off. And especially for Europe, where the packages are maybe not as good financially, knowing that she would have a source of income, again, made it an easier decision for a lot of the schools.
Transparency. That's one of my other big hints for people is, you can't go into these job fairs, you can't go into these international schools and interview with any secrets, because those secrets come out.
Yeah, I don't know how you think you could hide something over 2 or 4 years of working at the school.
People hide their medical problems. They hide their spouse, or the fact that they've got a steady girlfriend, but they're not married and they plan on getting married. There are problems, like they're going to get them into the country. There's a lot of stories that we don't know about, but I hear lots through the grapevine over the years and see some of these things happen. Hannah, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen quite a lot, in my not as long time, but shorter amount of time, but still good length of time. It's just incredible what people hide sometimes.
So yeah, transparency and letting them know that you have a plan. I think that was stellar. I'm sure that's the schools really appreciate the fact that you're armed with all those answers ahead of time, and you've got something that she's planned out on doing, and it just paints the whole picture for the school before they hire you.
Well, and again, they want to hire somebody who's going to be forward seeking in terms of like the planning in the classroom, right? These are just other places of showing the skills that make you a phenomenal teacher applied to other aspects of it. I think out of all of the stuff that I've learned this year, I was using all of my strengths as a teacher in the job hunt, being really critical in how I applied stuff, recognizing like none of us are experts in every field of teaching. So when we have a question for how do we deal with this new IEP, we go to the specialist. How do I deal with this EAL student issue? I go to a specialist. How do I help with discipline? We go to a specialist. Like all of those things, we pull those out. And so when in doubt, I went through and I found the people I needed to support me. I mean, this probably sounds like a commercial pitch, but I had JP helping me with my resume at the beginning of it, because I don't know what the best resume looks like. It had been 4 or 5 years since I'd applied for a job, and I knew my resume wasn't great then. So I found somebody who was an expert there. I pulled in my references who were admins in hiring position. I said, give me a practice interview. Give me a critique. Okay, you know me, you've worked with me for 4 years. What are my strengths that I didn't nail in that interview questions that you sent me? Like, what am I leaving off the table?
That's a great idea. I would have never thought to ask for a practice interview with your reference. I bet that was very helpful.
And you want them to talk about your strengths as well. It's a great way of reminding them what it is.
Huh. I never thought of that either. And I'm old. But I do like the fact that you're trying to learn more about yourself and get more prepared for those interviews. This episode, I don't know what we're going to call it. Small world, great interviewing. This guy is hired. Sorry, he can't have him. He's going to Leipzig. I don't know what we're going to call this episode. We have two things as we roll on in our episode here. We have two major questions. Colin, you probably have heard these before on the episodes, but I will ask the first one. I'll let Hannah ask the next one. Or Hannah, you have your choice. Would you like to ask the police one or the three things?
Yeah, I can do the police one. So, Colin, do you have a police customs border crossing story for us in your many years of travel?
Oh, yeah. First year here in Tunisia, with my wife's passport, she needed a visa to enter the country, and they only give one-time entry visas. So we get into the country and we start our processing for local paperwork, and we get the residency document. The carte de séjour is the proof to be there, and we get a document that says it's in process. And so we checked with the school and said, okay, we want to go travel for October break. We don't have our permanent card yet. Is this still good? And they're like, yeah, no problem. You just show that when you come back in, and no problems whatsoever. Left the country, no issue. Went to Barcelona, ended up meeting up with my mom. She was coming back to visit us over the end of October break. And we get back to Tunisia, and I go through, my mom goes through, and then my wife gets stopped at customs because she doesn't have the appropriate paperwork, because that paper was good enough to convince the Air France people to let her on, but it wasn't enough actually to get onto the border. And she got held up for over 2 hours in customs border patrol entry. And only because one of the most beautiful human beings that I've met here in my time here, Mufid, if you ever listen to this, thank you. He was one of our top IT guys, and he was also a top member of the Lions Club here, and they were having a weekend in Tunisia for all of Lions Club Africa. And so he had been working with the Border Patrol Customs people to help with any of those issues that popped up. And I just happened to have an issue when he was there running around with all of his documentation. He was able to say, here's the problem, here's this, okay, we got it all solved. And he was able to fix the problem before the school's security manager was able to call the right people to fix everything. Ended up paying for a one-time visa entry at the spot. They put it in the passport, immediately canceled it, and we went in.
No more processing.
Yeah.
Process, done.
And so since that point, October break has always been a staycation, because we don't always have our permanent residency card in time for that.
I think sometimes it takes 3 months for the school to get all of your residence paperwork through. It depends on every school, to every country, of course.
Each country is different too, and depending on the political climate, sometimes working for an American school right now takes a little bit longer to get paperwork through.
Oh, wait till you get to Germany, and they're like, tuck, 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 everything, alles in Ordnung. Question number 2, 3 things that you take with you to make you feel at home when you go to a new country without a heartbeat.
3 things. I mean, I have a few pieces of comfort food. I always have a large bottle of Canadian maple syrup in my fridge, ready to go.
Canuckies. Oh, you're all
yeah.
like
that. I have a fairly boutique bottle of gin that I try to keep around at all times, because it has a lot of good associations. It's not one that I drink often, but when I do, it's for a good celebration. I can never find that outside of the distiller themselves. It's actually just down the road from where I'm going to in Germany, so I'm actually going closer to it.
What's it called again?
It is
the bottle.
It's from an abbey in southern Germany.
Okay.
And it's 18. Oh no, 1650. Like it's a number. It's the year that the recipe was actually created. But it
That's
is
how
from
old the monks are. Oh, okay.
It's how old that monastery has been making that particular gin.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I'd have to go back and double check because I don't drink it enough, but I know exactly. I have a Google pin exactly on that monastery, and I know where to go back. And when anybody's going there, they get me a bottle.
Got it. Okay.
Then I guess the third thing, Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, just in case they win the cup.
You're so Canucky. I knew it. I love that. Great ideas, though. You got to bring your Canadian roots with you. You got to have maple leaf. You got to have your something hockey, something maple syrup, and then something German, of course. That's so awesome.
It's those little comforts, right? You can always find clothing, you can always find furniture, you can always find that. There's tastes that you just can't get in different places of the world.
Yeah. Fair enough. And that's important. And that's why we ask this question on almost every episode, is that we can all relate to somehow having a problem with customs or for some kind of police story. They're usually funny and harmless, not all the time. And then, of course, having something that you take with you, right? And that's bonus. I love that. The reason we say you can't have a heartbeat, because otherwise someone says their wife, or someone says my 2 children or my 3 dogs. They've been very quiet during this episode, by the way. Just a couple of interruptions.
I've got one of them now sitting over here just staring at me, waiting to finish. But they're used to this area being a little bit more quiet because this is where my wife does most of her work.
Do you want to bring him on the camera for us, or show your doggy, or don't want to?
No, I'll leave them where they are right now. It's one of those you leave sleeping dogs alone.
Got it. Okay. Well, listen, how about if we go around and say some final thoughts? Colin, we'll start with you, and then we'll go through Hannah, and I'll wrap it up too.
Yeah, if you've stuck through this episode long enough to get to the end here, if you're going into the job hunt, prepare early and use all your resources. Ask your friends, ask your references for any advice, any help, and the more prepared you are before, the easier it is to be in the moment. If you know it's going to be your last year, get your resume done before the summer or during the summer break. Don't wait for the school year to start when you're already busy teaching.
Hannah, final thoughts.
I want to say that recruiting is not as scary as it seems, because once you get in there, and I feel like you get on a roll sometimes with those recruitment fairs and even just interviews and getting your CV out there. It's not as scary as you may think.
I agree. Well, I'm the single guy, and I keep saying that because our episodes revolve around having different co-hosts. So Hannah is a mother and a teaching spouse, together with a teacher. Colin has a non-teaching spouse with no kids but 3 dogs. We've got Kent, we got Darian, everyone. We have all different points of view. And when you're listening to this, remember that recruiting is it's different for everybody, but we see a lot of common threads. And what you have heard from Colin today is perfect. I mean, you go to an event, go to a job fair. Colin, are you glad you finally went to a job fair? You've been teaching for years, and this is your first one.
I loved it. There were definitely moments where there was so much noise that I needed to step out. And I can tell you in Kensington, where they had this, where I found a quiet bench in a park and I was able to go and sit and recollect for 15 minutes. It's chaos. It's draining. I'm more introverted than extroverted, so it was a lot, but it did so much for me in terms of confidence in what I bring to the table and in what I want to do for the future. I hope I'm not recruiting again for many years. I hope I found a place that I'm going to be happy to stay for a long time. But if I have to do it again, I'm more confident now than I was at the beginning of this process.
From the mouth of babes, I want to say, but he's been teaching for years. First time going to a job fair successfully. But job fairs are like that. They're the emotional roller coaster, right? If you want to learn more about it, listeners, you can buy my book. I'm not going to say anything about it. You've heard us before. You can buy a book about it. There's several books out there, by the way. We have come to the end of this show, and it's fantastic that we have talked so much about recruiting. I really think, I'm sorry if you're listening and you're an admin, Colin has taken now. He's going to Leipzig. Colin, come back. And we didn't just sit through this episode. I have 1,000 more questions. And I know Hannah has another 1,000 questions, but we ran a little bit over an hour. So would you please come back, especially after you've been to Germany for a little bit, and check in with us again, do another episode, and let us know what it's like to teach physics or chemistry or whatever you're going to end up teaching, probably all of them if it's a smaller school. But do that for us, would you please?
I will. I'll definitely, sometime maybe this time next year after I've been on boots on the ground for a year. And how did the transition go?
Excellent. Well, this is Greg, the single guy, signing off from the Middle East. You've got Hannah in Pakistan. Colin joined us from, where's
Tunisia.
Tunisia. Yes, and a shout out to